Welcome everyone to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons General Thoracic Surgery Database User Group call. Today is Wednesday, June the 22nd of 2022. So summer is finally here and I'm very excited. So I love the warm. Let's go ahead and let's see here. On the call with me today from the STS side, we have myself, Carol Crone, and Emily Conrad. We also have Ruth Raleigh, our GTSD consultant. And then from our IQVIA team today, we have Jean and Joe. So thank you guys for joining today. Just go over the agenda real quick. I'll provide a brief STS update, not much new from my end, and then we'll turn things over to Emily. She'll give us the AQO update for AQO 2022. So she's got some great information she's going to share with us here in a little bit. And then I'm going to turn things over to Ruth. We're going to do a little bit more review on the PFTs. We had some questions from our last webinar and just had some people ask if we could just touch on the PFTs again, just for a little more review. So we're going to, Ruth is going to give an additional, some additional PFT review, and then she's going to touch on sequence 1880, lung cancer nodes assessed. And then we'll finish things up with your feedback. So again, if you have any questions, please put those into the Q&A and we'll get to answer as many questions as we can. And if you have questions for IQVIA, if you have a ticket outstanding, you'd like an update on, if you could please put your ticket number into the Q&A and Jean and her team could look into that and perhaps get you an update on any outstanding issues. All right, so let's go ahead and hop in for today's updates. Again, the training manual for June, actually, I'm sorry, I totally forgot to update that. The June training manual is posted and that is available out on the STS website. The July training manual, of course, will be posted in the next coming weeks. That'll be posted by the 1st of July. So it may be a little bit of a delay due to multiple staff being on vacation, but again, we'll try to get that posted the 1st of July. Spring 22 analysis results, again, are coming soon. IQVIA is working on feedback from our UAT testers. So they're working on that, and we are still at this time expecting the reports to be available by the end of this month. Also, the updated report analysis report overview will be posted and to coincide with this report release. So I had mentioned that on the last webinar, a couple webinars ago, updated analysis overview. And again, that includes the details for minimally invasive for that calculation. So again, that information will be coming with the report release. The 2022 audit, the notification letters have been sent out to selected sites and instruction letters have been sent as well. The STS audit page has been updated with all the audit information. So if you were selected or if you were not selected and interested in learning what all is involved with the audit, all the variables that are being audited, just go out to our STS website and the audit page. Here, let me pull this over and I can actually show you where that information lives. So from the STS homepage, if you click on Registries STS National Database, and if you scroll right on down the page under Important Resources, here's the button for audits. Just click there, and this is where all of our STS database audit information lives. You would just click on the link for general thoracic, and the audit instructions are here, samples, FAQ. So anything you want to learn about the audit, all the information can be found here on the STS website. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us and we can get those answered for you. No additional information regarding public reporting. Again, the next update is scheduled for this summer. And again, it will utilize those results from Fall 21 harvest. Again, if you have any questions about the audit, please reach out to Sydney Clinton. Her information is here. Her email is located here, sclinton@sts.org. And Sydney could get all of your questions related to public reporting answered. She is their public reporting guru. So if you have questions public reporting, Sydney is your go-to. So again, reach out to Sydney with those questions. And also just a note, Emily did put a link to the audit page into the chat. So thank you, Emily. And then also, if you have questions related to the audit, again, reach out to Emily and her email is listed there in the chat box as well. So thank you, Emily. And speaking of Emily, I'm going to turn things over to Emily for our AQO update. So Emily.
Yeah, hi.
Mhm.
So we will be in Providence, Rhode Island from October 26th to 28th, and abstracts submission is open. So if you go to our website, I think you can actually click on that image,
Mhm. Yeah.
and the submission link is. I don't know
Oh,
what's going on. Oh, I'm sorry.
well, there you
Can
go.
you guys hear me?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Yeah, so the submission link is right there, submit abstract. The deadline is Tuesday, July 5. And I just wanted to mention that if you have multiple authors, each author will need to submit a disclosure form at the time of submission. So if you are planning to submit an abstract, you'll want to get in there soon so that you can be sending that disclosure form to your authors in in order to get it submitted in time. We're looking for scientific abstracts and also quality improvement projects. These will be for e-posters, so they'll be on the virtual meeting platform, and we'll also have some nice screens at the meeting as well. That you'll be able to view them in person too, and we'll also for the posters we have our Dorothy Latham Award, so we award a like best poster award at the meeting. So it's really fun. So we would love to have some general thoracic abstracts this year. I think we might have had one last year, but we would love to have some this year. So please think about submitting an abstract. We would be very happy. All right, next one. AQO registration is open. Here is our is the pricing. We do have a virtual pass option, and then we have 1 track, 2 track, or multi-day for in person. So if you abstract for both general thoracic and adult, then you would probably want to pick 2 tracks. If you want to go to all 3 days of the meeting, so say you want to go to general thoracic, and then adult cardiac and congenital, you would pick the multi-day track. Um, Early bird registration is open until Friday, August 24th. All right, next slide.
Sorry, I just wanted to, that's August 26th, right, Emily?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, August
Yeah, okay.
26th.
Yep.
I misspoke, sorry. Yep,
That's
August
okay.
26th.
Okay.
And we just kind of wanted to show what we're offering this year. So for in person, you get live Q&A. If you register as a virtual pass attendee, you will not have the opportunity to submit any questions um, while the meeting is happening. We will be recording all of the in-person sessions, but they'll be available in mid-November. So you would be able to watch that content then, and then we're going to be having a AQO Hot Topics webinar in January. We'll bring that back some of our speakers. So you would have some opportunity to get questions answered then. But for in person, we'll have the availability to have on-demand content prior to attending in person. In person, you'll have that live Q&A, breakfast, lunch, and refreshment breaks. We're going to be having a networking reception on Wednesday evening. And then we'll also have exhibitors there. So we're pretty excited about that. You'll also be able to get all of your conference materials on the virtual meeting platform. So PowerPoint presentations, case scenarios, anything that you'll want to maybe print out prior to being at the meeting, you'll be able to have that 1 week prior to the in-person conference. And for general thoracic specifically, that session will be on Wednesday, October 26th. And these are some of the program topics that we have been discussing on our planning meetings. So we will go into depth about the audit, preoperative evaluation risk factors, so, lung cancer, esophageal cancer, post-op complications, and the other topics listed here. If you have any questions or case scenarios that you would like to be covered, feel free to submit them to the FAQ clinical link on our website by Friday, August 16. This is just some information about where the event will be. So we will be actually at a conference center this year. This is one of the first years I believe that we'll actually be in a conference center. So it's kind of exciting. We'll be at the Rhode Island Convention Center. And a block of rooms has been reserved at the Omni Providence Hotel. And the rate is at $259. So you can find information about registration and housing on our website. And I'll put the link in the chat. And then, yeah, go ahead and click on that, Leanne. There's a nice website.
Put in. I'm sure it's operator error.
It's okay.
It worked for me yesterday. There we go. There we go. Hold on. Point it over.
Perfect.
Maybe. There we
Our
go.
meetings team put together a little microsite just about Providence and things that you can do in the area. So feel free to check that out too. We're excited to go to Providence. I've never been, so yeah, just check it out and see what is in store there.
And then
And one thing we wanted to mention, AQO is going green this year. So in previous years, we've provided the data collection forms printed out and then also an agenda and whatnot. But this year we're just going to go green. We're going to have our virtual meeting platform. All of the information that you need will be digital. So like I said, PowerPoint slides, case scenarios, the data collection forms will just link out to our website. So if you want to print any of that stuff prior to attending, feel free to bring it with you. So we're excited about that too.
Yeah, we've got several questions, Emily. I want to go ahead and just tackle these while we're here, since they're all AQO related. So our first question, were the prices, where'd it go? The prices just for the live, or would be the same price for online options? So I pulled the pricing slide back here. So
yep, the online option is the virtual pass. So if you are a member, an STS member, it will be $300. And then if you are not a member, it's $400.
Right. Yep. And the 1-track, 2-track, multi-day tracks, those are for our in-person attendees.
Right.
Okay. Next question. If you do the virtual option, does that mean it is not live during the October dates of the conference?
That is correct. So you will get the content, you will get the on-demand content that was recorded by our speakers. It'll probably be about 4 on-demand presentations the week prior to AQO. So that will be like around mid-October. But then all of the content that will be in person will be recorded while we're there. That content will be available in mid-November.
All right, thank you. Let's see, if we do virtual, can we attend the live sessions but not get Q&A? Nancy wants to be able to get CEUs for all of the content.
You will be able to get CEUs for all of the content. Yes.
Okay. And there was a question from Susan about COVID, whether it be 6-foot spacing between chairs, et cetera, masking required.
I don't have an answer about that at the moment, but I will check with our meetings department and we can put something up on our website.
Right.
We will, STS is requiring vaccination for all of our conferences. We have a little bit of information here, but if you have more questions about that aspect, I'll direct you to my colleague Lisa Robles, who is the meetings and conventions manager. I'll put her contact information in the chat.
And yes, Nancy, all the content will be available within the time frame for submitting your evaluations for CEUs.
Yeah, we'll probably have a rolling submission again, similar to what we did last year for 3 months.
Right. And then somebody wanted to know if the virtual pass would be for all tracks.
That is correct.
Yep.
And the people who attend in person will have access to all of the content on the virtual meeting platform.
Great. Perfect. So yes, we would love to have you guys join us in person. We would love to see your faces. So, all right, thank you, Emily. It looks like all the AQO questions for now. So let's go ahead and turn things over to Ruth for more PFTs, please.
Okay, thanks everyone. So there was a request for me to go through more PFTs, and so here we go. Sequence 750, which is FEV1 predicted. The intent clarification for this one indicates to use the value that's within 12 months of surgery and to code the highest value reported for percent predicted, whether or not a bronchodilator was used. So now we're going to go ahead and move into some questions. So the first question is, what value would you code for sequence 750? And you can see the PFT report over on the right-hand side of the screen. Will you let me know, Leanne, when?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, we've still got, people are still answering, so it's still coming in. All right, looks like we, still getting some answers. I need the Jeopardy music. Oh, there you go. I don't know, Carol, did you share the poll?
Thank you. So the correct answer.
Oh, that's my part. That's me.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a hot mess over here.
The correct answer is 71%. So if you look at the example, the first thing you're going to need to do is find the correct line. So it's FEV1, which is the second row down in this example. And then you can see that on the top, there's pre-bronchodilator and post-bronchodilator. The percent predicted is given to you in this example for both pre and post. So your actual divided by your predicted gives you your percent predicted. So your pre-bronch is 68%. And then if you keep going to the right, you'll see that your post-bronch is 71%, and you want to code the highest value. So 71% would be the correct answer. The next example, same question, different PFT report. So you'll notice in this PFT, well, maybe I'll just wait and let you look at it, I guess.
Questions they're answering, Ruth? Coming in. 16% answered, 20%. Got a little bit of something on this one.
Ruth, can you see them now? If the results are coming in?
I could see it, but I closed it because I didn't realize what was happening. I'm sorry, Carol.
Okay.
Maybe if I can click it. Yep, I see it now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
It doesn't look
Okay.
like we're getting more answers in the poll.
I'll end the poll and then, let's see.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna end it now. Thank you.
Okay. So the answer to this one, Leanne, is 91. So this one's a little bit trickier because the percent predicted is not given to you for the post bronchodilator values, and PFT reports are generated like this at some institutions. And this is why there's clarification in the training manual about being able to calculate the data. But again, the first step is to find the right line. So you want to find the FEV1 line. This report has a lot more other junk that you sort of have to filter out and ignore, but you want to be in that second line with FEV1 and then look for your percent predicted both pre and post bronch. So your percent predicted pre-bronch is 74%. And then if you keep going to the right, you'll see that there's an actual given to you for the post bronchodilator value, but there's not a percent predicted. And it doesn't work to add your percent change to your percent predicted. It'll give you the wrong percent. And so what you have to do, if you want to go to the next slide, Leanne, is essentially you're going to have to take this is the same two PFT reports. So you'll take your post bronchodilator actual, which is 1.81, and divide it by the predicted, which doesn't change from pre or post, to get the correct percentage, which was 91%. And again, I find PFT reports are like the bottom to be much more user-friendly from a data manager perspective. I am always hopeful that this is what I get, but sometimes you get what's on the top and you have to do your own math. And again, the predicted value doesn't change. It's unique to each patient. It's based on their age, race, height, and gender. So it won't change from pre or post bronchodilator. And then I think the next next slide goes into DLCO, which we didn't cover last time, but DLCO, what you're looking for is the lowest of the values that are uncorrected, essentially. And so if you want to go to the next slide, there is some an example with a question. But if you look over on the right-hand side, you'll see that the DLCO, there's several values listed for DLCO, and you take the lowest uncorrected value between DLCO uncorrected and DLVA. Or some institutions list DL_SB, I think is what they use. And that would also be an uncorrected value.
Looks like we're in agreement on this one.
Yep. I'll give it one more second. Can I end the poll, Carol?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we've got about, it doesn't look like anybody else is submitting, so I'm gonna end the poll. Overwhelmingly, people were correct. Do I hit share results then?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
There we go. So the correct answer is 91.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. The correct answer is 91. So of the DLVA and the DLCO uncorrected, 91 is the lower of the two values. If there was a percent predicted for DLCO corrected, it would not be able to be used because it's corrected for the patient's hemoglobin, which is not what we want. There is one more example of a DLCO on the next slide, but it looks like for the most part, overwhelmingly people feel pretty confident about DLCO. So we'll move through this example pretty quickly.
I think they might have it, Ruth.
Yes.
DLCO we've nailed down. If
You're still.
in the poll, let's see, share results. So overwhelmingly, everyone got this one correct as well. If you have a PFT report that looks different at your institution, feel free to send it to me and I'm happy to look at it. I don't necessarily always know the right answer. Some institutions, PFT reports look very, very different than others, and you sort of have to wade through it. Your surgeons are also excellent resources if you have specific questions on your institution's PFT reports, but I love the examples. It helps me put scenarios together for AQO that might be helpful to other data managers as well. So feel free to send them my way.
Yeah. Can we go back, Ruth? Someone had asked if you could go over the math again.
Sure.
For this one.
Yes. Okay, so I'm looking at the question. So the first question is, the previous version used to ask about pre-dilator PFT. Why did it change to post? It's not that it's necessarily always going to be post. You're supposed to use the better of the two values. My understanding from talking to the surgeons about why you would use a post bronchodilator value is because PFTs are often used to determine whether patients are good surgical candidates, and patients whose lung function significantly improves with bronchodilators can be maintained on bronchodilators, and they don't want to exclude those patients from the surgical population. And so we use whatever is better of the two. Now the math the math for how to calculate PFTs, the percent predicted if it's not given to you, you take the pre-bronchodilator or the post-bronchodilator actuals and you divide it by the predicted. So if you look at the second line down, if you weren't given 74% of predicted, you would just take the first row, your actual 1.49 divided by 1.99 is 0.74 something, times 100 is your percent. The same thing holds true for your post bronchodilator. You take 1.81 for your actual, you divide it by your predicted, which doesn't change because it's still the same patient. So it's going to be 1.81 divided by 1.99 will give you a percent, which is, I think in this case, it was it'll give you a decimal. I think it was 0.909, which you would round to 91%. if you take the percent change and you add it to your percent predicted, it gives you 95, which isn't correct. I've asked pulmonologists to explain to me why you can't add the percent change to the percent predicted. And they were essentially like, it's this crazy calculation. Don't worry about it. Just trust us that it doesn't work. You have to do the division. And I left it at that and didn't pursue it any further. There will be a presentation at AQO on PFTs, and I am very much looking forward to the surgeons explaining to me why I can't do the math that way, but it doesn't work. Hopefully that helps. And then you can see if you want to validate with the one at the bottom where it actually does the math for you on both, that's kind of nice. You can, you should be able to divide the 1.54 divided by 2.17 and get 71% for your post-proc value.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go through the rest of these questions while we're here. Let's see, is VASB to be included when looking at the DLCO scores, or is that one omitted? VASB, let me look real quick. So DLCO VA would be included, but yours is specifically listed as DLCO VA underscore SB. I'm not sure, Whitney. I don't know, Carol, do you know off the top of your head? I'm not familiar with VASB. My institution doesn't use that nomenclature, but I can dig into it.
Let me check, and I think that we have something in the adult training manual on this. I don't know. I think we pulled everything over that we had from adult into general thoracic. Let me double check 1 second. You could go on to the next question. I'll look it up.
Okay.
While you're going.
Is it, quote, normal for an institution to only have corrected or adjusted DLCOs? I don't know what's normal. I can tell you that I have not heard, I haven't heard feedback from other institutions that they are having a problem with not having an uncorrected or unadjusted DLCO available. My guess is if people aren't reaching out to me asking me what value to use, that it would be fairly uncommon to have that problem. I guess I would follow up with your whoever does your PFTs, your PFT lab, whether that's through pulmonary or through the hospitals, and see what guidance they can give you. But I don't think it's quote unquote normal. It's not a common problem that I've heard about. But if other sites are having that problem, feel free to put it in the comments, and I can track down a standard solution for that. I'm going to go on to the next section, and then we can circle back to the.
Oh, I think I have it.
Okay.
This is what we have. I'm surprised it's not in the training manual. It might be, maybe we just, I don't know. It says the lowest DLCO uncorrected should be captured. A PFT may report DLCO SB, DLCO CSB, or DLCO/VA. The difference in the DLCO SB, which is the simple DLCO, and the DLCO CSB is that the DLCO CSB is the corrected for the hemoglobin value. In this scenario, you would code the DLCO SB or the DLCO/VA value. If you did not have the, I'll put this in the chat box.
That piece is in the training manual, Carol. I think the question is VA equivalent? So her institution gives her VA underscore SB, not DLCO underscore SB. And I don't know if VA underscore SB is equivalent to DLCO underscore SB.
I see.
I frankly don't know off the top of my head.
It's a good question. We can bring it back to the surgeons and ask them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misread the question. I got excited when I found it something.
No, that's there's so many letters that are part of PFT reports. It makes it tough.
Do you want Whitney to submit that to your FAQs so that way you have a track of it, Ruth?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I think I'm gonna come back to I'm gonna come back to the
Yes, go ahead.
other PFT questions because I want to make sure we make it through the rest of the content. Okay, so this is an update on lung cancer lymph nodes assessed. And there's a lot of information here. My goal is to sort of try and explain the why behind this change. It really applies to only a very small number of patients. So when the July training manual gets published, there's going to be some additional guidance added to sequence 1880 and also some other related sequences. The content that I'm covering here doesn't go into effect until the July training manual is published, meaning that if you are audited, the auditors wouldn't be looking to see that your cases are abstracted in this way until the July training manual date, publication date. So we're just giving you a preview of the information now so that when the training manual is published, you have additional background surrounding the change, because I think it has the potential to be confusing, and I don't want people to be concerned when they see the update push through. This update only applies to patients that have had a media synoscopy prior to lung resection. We actually pulled the data. Leanne worked with someone magical within the STS to find the data, and they found that the rate of media synoscopy prior to lung resection is currently about 5%, which has declined from about 15%. Sorry, I had to get a drink. So what we've noticed is that some institutions have begun issuing synoptic pathology reports where lymph nodes that are harvested prior to the index procedure that you are abstracting is included in the pathology report for the surgical procedure itself. So you'll see statements in the synoptic pathology reports saying that it is synoptic, or it'll say this incorporates lymph nodes from a previous or prior resection, etc. So previously, what we've always done is we've been very clearly directed. The pathology and the lymph nodes that you are reporting in the registry should exactly match what's on your pathology report. Synoptic pathology reports make that a little bit challenging because of the way that they are written. And so then because some sites do synoptic path reports and some sites do not, we had to sort of create consistency amongst institutions internally, which means that it's, honestly more work on the data manager's part for these cases. So we'll go to the next slide, and hopefully this will all be clear as we get to the end of this. So a subgroup of surgeons specifically evaluated what to do now that we have these reports. Their goal was to achieve a consensus definition of nodal counts that was clinically justifiable, reasonable for us to abstract, and was reliable. We looked at pathology reports that had been sent by data managers who've been struggling through this problem for the last several months. And we looked at the data on the prevalence of media synoscopy, like I previously mentioned. If you want to go to the next slide. So this is a summary of what the work group had decided. Lymph nodes that are harvested during media synoscopy performed either at a prior separate setting or during the same anesthetic trip to the OR should be included in the final nodal count. This means that for institutions that issue a synoptic pathology report, that work may have already been done for them. For institutions where the synoptic path reports aren't in place, you may have to add lymph nodes from a previous media synoscopy to your path report that was given to you at the end of your lung resection. Nodes that are sampled prior to induction therapy, so whether your patient had chemo, radiation, et cetera, are not included in those final surgical nodal counts, and EBIS is excluded. So this is really just talking about media synoscopy. The next slide, I think, is an example that someone had sent me. So you can see at the top of this report, it says synoptic reporting, and then at the bottom in the comments, it says that they've included lymph nodes from a previous resection. So thinking about the guidance that was just shared. So does this path report include nodes from a prior resection? Yes. So then you have to decide whether they need to be counted or not be counted. And honestly, in this path report, there's not enough information to know, because you're going to have to look and see when did the patient have their induction therapy. So you'll see under TNM that there's a Y. So this patient had chemo RT. If If the treatment occurred prior to the mediastinoscopy, then the nodes would not be included. So there's sort of some digging that has to be done for these cases. It definitely makes it much more complicated to abstract than saying everybody just use your path report. The problem is that because institutions aren't generating pathology reports the same, that we had to develop some consistency so that when we look at the data across sites that it does match. And unfortunately, the burden falls on us to sort of sort through that. Hopefully, because the volume of mediastinoscopy prior to lung resection is so low, it won't be a noticeable difference in workload. If you want to go to the next slide. Why aren't lymph nodes from EBIS pulled forward and counted? So this is because it's impossible to completely resect a lymph node during EBIS. However, a lymph node that's removed during mediastinoscopy can't be re-resected. So what we're trying to get is an actual count of lymph nodes that are removed, right? And if the mediastinoscopy lymph nodes are counted by some institutions and not others, then there's mismatch between sites. That'll never occur with EBIS because if you sample a station, the node is still there to be resected. Next slide. So what other sequences does this potentially impact? Number of malignant nodes, lung cancer nodes, and your pathological end stage could all potentially be impacted for this very small subset of patients with a lung resection that have previously had a mediastinoscopy. And I think that's it on that topic. Please, I know I'm still recovering from a cold. I feel like I'm never going to get my voice back. Please send me questions, specifically if you have pathology reports that you need me to look at. It's probably going to be a lot easier for me to look through your examples than it will be for me to make generalizations during this call. But if you have general questions, I'm happy to try and answer them. The surgeons were very, very mindful of not wanting the data managers to have to do additional work, but they also just very much wanted the database to have the best data possible. And that's why the change was made. So hopefully they found the right balance as they made this decision.
Thank you so much, Ruth. I'm going to, I know we've got some questions coming in. We have 5, we've got about 15 minutes left. So let me just touch on these few slides. We don't have any updates from IQVIA from the last call. Just note that I think the known issues document within the IQVIA library has been updated and is posted. So if you have any, if you want to check out any, if you have any questions or would like to pull up the known issues list, that is located within the IQVIA library. So that is out there and has been updated. Again, my contact information is listed here. If you need to reach me, just shoot me an email. I am working my way through emails. My email is a little overwhelming right now. So if I have not gotten back to you, just please know that I do have your questions and I will be getting back to you as quickly as possible. If you have database operational questions, you have any questions about your current contacts for your site or your participation agreements, just reach out to us at stsdb@sts.org. Also, if you have any questions about access to the IQVIA platform, please reach out to Jane and her team at stsdb@sts.org. Our upcoming webinars, our next monthly webinar is scheduled for July 13th at 1:30 Central, and then our next user group call is scheduled for July 27th at 2:30 Central. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to these questions, Ruth. I think Maggie has a question. I think that's the first question for you. Rounding the FEV predicted in the DLCO.
Yes, I was just typing Maggie back, but if you can send me your rounding question to the FAQ inbox, Maggie, I'd appreciate it. And I'll update the training manual with rounding guidance for FEV1. It looks like it exists only for DLCO. So I'll update the training manual for everyone with the FEV1 rounding answer. I agree with you wholeheartedly that I also don't like the idea of having to calculate the values. Unfortunately, some institutions, or even like within my institution, it depends on what PFT lab you go to, whether you will get a percent calculated for you or whether you have to calculate it yourself. But for sites where it's not given to them, we just needed to give guidance on how to do the calculation. But I agree with you. I would love it if they all just calculated it for us. Donna, yes, I will email you the cross-coding website. No problem. I have Barb's question. I have patients who had lymph nodes biopsied prior to surgical resection via VATS. Does this new guidance still apply to VATS? That's a great question, Barb. I would assume so, but let me clarify with the surgeons, and I will include that in the July update so that that's very specific. Actually, if you could please send that to me in the FAQ inbox so I don't miss it, I would very much appreciate that. It's a great question. Can I go back to the slide with the recommendations concerning synoptic lymph nodes? I think this is that slide, and it will be published. I don't know how quick these go up, Leanne. How quick do these slides usually come up?
Hopefully Armando and team can get them up within 2 to 3 business days. So today's Wednesday. I'll send them the recording and the slides right after this call. So he should hopefully have it up by Friday at the latest.
So if you need a copy of this in writing, you can either screenshot it real quick or pull them off the website on Friday or so.
Yep. So I'll leave this up for a second, Suzanne, so you can screenshot it if needed. All right. Any other questions? Ruth, was there anything that you wanted to touch on regarding?
I've gotten several questions about what patients who are where the ECOG score wasn't available, will it impact a site star rating or will it impact their data completeness evaluation?
No, so missing ECOG is not considered, will not keep a record from being excluded. So it will be reported in your missing variable report, but it will not, it's not considered a required field for analysis purposes. So it would not impact your star, and if you're missing ECOG, it would not impact that record for, your star rating and things like that.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I've also gotten a lot of questions in the inbox lately, in the last few weeks, really, about patients who have a planned readmission for an additional procedure. And that question actually was taken to the core group a couple weeks ago, and it's going to the task force next week. So if you are one of the people that's curious about whether planned readmissions should be captured, more to come on that. I will say that they are counted in adult cardiac. So we try to keep the databases aligned, but the thoracic surgeons will be evaluating that specific question next week and more to come.
And also I just noticed that Emily, if you have questions regarding AQO housing and vaccination policies, please reach out to Elisa at meetings@sts.org. Again, reach out to Elisa. Emily did put that in the chat box, so you can reach out to Elisa at meetings@sts.org, and she can advise on the COVID guidelines and that STS will be enforcing there at this year's AQO. Also, let's see here. I just wanted to point out, if you are looking to access our AQO information page, if you go from the STS website, if you go to meetings and click on calendar of events, and if you scroll down to advances in quality and outcomes, click there, and here you will find all of the information, abstract submission, information about Providence, Rhode Island registration, book your hotel. And again, all of the information can be found here, pricing, hotel, out on the STS website. And if you have any questions, again, just reach out. You can reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to Emily regarding AQO. If you're not sure who to contact, just reach out to me and I can get you in touch with the appropriate person's staff. All right. Carol, Ruth, Emily, anything else that you guys want to share or we may have missed? I think we're coming up on time.
I don't have anything else. Thank you, Leanne.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I guess we'll give you about 10 minutes back of your day. I just want to thank everyone for joining today. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Ruth, for all that information. That was a lot and very Very valuable, so we do appreciate you that. Can we see the FEV slide one more time to screenshot? FEV slide, which FEV slide? Hold on, sorry for my scrolling. So it's predicted.
Probably got that one. I think is probably the better.
This one?
Yeah.
All right. Going once, going twice. And again, all of these slides will be posted on the STS website on the webinars page within the next hopefully by Fridays, within the next 2 days. Maggie just put a question in. Ruth, I don't know if you want to, if you can answer that, if you would want to submit it as FAQ. I defer to you for that one. All right, you're welcome, Christine.
I'm muted, sorry.
No, you're good.
I think for 650, send me the FAQ, Maggie, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yep. Okay. All right. And Christine had, I don't know, I had accidentally said I had answered Christine's previous question. She had asked what are all the tracks in her previous question. I just wanted to just to explain that the tracks that we're referring to, that means the databases are being covered. So general thoracic, adult cardiac, congenital, and Intermax and PDMax. So those are the tracks that we're referring to in the pricing slide.
And I just want to mention that general thoracic and Intermax are going to be on the same day. If you abstract for both of those databases, what you'll be able to attend one live, and then you would be able to watch the other on the virtual meeting platform. But when you go to register, you would you wouldn't want to sign up for 2 tracks. Because you won't be able to attend both of those live at the same time.
Okay, that's a great point, Emily. Thank you. Okie dokie. All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you guys joining. Thank you, Emily, and Carol and Ruth and IQD team. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and have a great week, everyone. Thanks, guys.
You too, Leanne. Bye.